Takes a minute. Welcome to Rev Shots, your weekly dose of quick hit wisdom, where we tackle the most pressing topics of the day for ourselves and our revenue teams. Our show features expert guests with decades of experience. We delve into what works and why, sharing tools to be unapologetically successful, from making our number to delighting our clients. If you're ready to boost your knowledge in under 30 minutes on a weekly basis, tune in. Follow me on LinkedIn or join our mailing list to stay updated on our latest features. Hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Friday, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the universe. And welcome to Rev Shots, episode number 82. We have my good friend and colleague back with us, Peter Cohan, and so excited. Again, he has ruined me for demos for the rest of my life since our paths were crossed. I don't even know how many years ago at this point. I will have to think about that. And so I'm Dion Major. I am your host of the show. Thank you for joining us today. Really excited to dive into this conversation with Peter, as always. Quick announcement for everybody. I have a new book coming out that I'm working on with a series of with folks as well. But a new book is called How Lead with Soul, Ambiguous to Agile. And it's all about a very practical way to create your leadership methodology. If you are a leader by title or deed, and you are wondering, why on earth doesn't my team do what I tell them to do? This book is for you. And I will say, first off, number one, we're all adults at this point, and so not 5. So maybe let's not tell people what to do. But then I think the other component is, if we don't have a leadership methodology with which we are springboarding from, we're creating chaos and confusion. So this book is going to be for you. Be on the lookout for that. I'm interviewing executive leaders right now. You'll hear and see stories in that book of leaders that created their leadership methodology, and in one case catapulted their organization from 300 million to $1 billion in 8 years. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, Peter, it is so good to see you again. How are you?
I am well. How about yourself?
I am doing very well as well. So, Peter, your background. Go ahead.
I have to comment on two things before we dive into the exciting topic for today. Two things. First, in the introduction, you talk about people that have decades of experience. In my case, it is 4.5 decades. Writing. Yeah, I'm 47. So yeah, do the math. The second thing is, with respect to your upcoming book, every single time I ascended to a higher level, including into the C-suite, I had no instruction. I had zero instruction. We were all expected to somehow magically, mystically know what to do. And of course, that just doesn't happen. So I'm eagerly awaiting the arrival of your book.
Well, thank you for that. And that's exactly the problem we're solving for, Peter, really quick. And is exactly that, is we just don't know at the end of the day. And there's a bunch of books on leadership. I think some of them are, and it's up to interpretation of how you interpret them. And what we're solving for is equipping and encouraging and empowering leaders to own their methodology, be able to communicate it effectively. And truly, I grew up as a redheaded stepchild, right? Like my heart and soul is with the people who are the feet on the street, the voice and hands to our customers, because that's directly who and what leadership impacts at the end of the day. And right now, according to Gallup, our employee trust score is about 30%. And if you and if you follow that line of reasoning, trust begets engagement. And in the lack of employee engagement right now is roughly an $8 trillion problem globally and a 9% GDP problem. And so the whole point is to bring back humanity, because to your point, nobody ever told me it was okay, or I got eschewed for being a softer person. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be, or just, it's okay to be yourself. Just don't be an ass about it at the end of the day.
Yeah, great subtitle.
That is the subtitle. And that's the component of it, is is do we have the tools to do this and do this well, to have a spirit of excellence? And because to your point, I was never told that either. And anyway, so that's it. At the end of the day, we've all screwed up. We've all had moments of greatness and moments of not so great. And it's really about helping people be the best version of themselves wherever they fit. So thank you. That's my, and it's a fun project. It's a fun project. So I am, again, so grateful that our paths have crossed. You have been on the show now twice. You've done Workout Wednesday with us. We will repost all of those for people. So Peter, tell us about what you do, why you do it, and how it impacts folks. And then we're going to dive into the question we ask every guest on our show.
So I love to answer the question, what do I do, with a question? And that is, have you ever seen a bad software demo or suffered an insufficient discovery conversation? And if you give the reaction that you're giving right now, then you know exactly what I do. My job is to improve the world one demo and one discovery conversation at a time. That is what we do.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And it's so impactful. I was just on a call the other day with the Harbor Tour demo, and I was literally mentally banging my head against the desk and have figured out a way to gracefully interrupt and ask questions that I need answered. But I think to your point, it's, oh, mamma jamma. And that's the title of our talk today is, are we giving a demo or are we showing a solution that actually attracts versus repels our customers at the end of the day? So, yeah.
So I'm go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to offer, again, something slightly sideways here, but I was having a conversation with one of my customers a few days ago. And in the conversation, they said something to the effect of blah, blah, blah. Everyone learns the golden demo. And every time I hear the term golden demo or bronze demo or any metal, I cringe. And the reason I cringe, well, what do you think? What do you think?
Because one size does not fit all.
Yeah, because people are taught to learn and play back the golden demo, and then they inflict it over and over and over again on their audiences. Merciless beatings of golden demos. And, you know, the end result is they need another demo. Oh, I need another demo. I didn't see what I was looking for. Or, oh, I'm sorry, you're really not a good candidate for us as a vendor, et cetera, et cetera. But let's go back to your core question. What is it that we're hearing in the industry? And I'm going to say not AI today, simply because enough for at least an hour or two. Storytelling. Many people are talking about storytelling. Lots of people are offering methods on how to teach and tell stories, but very few people are actually telling compelling, good stories.
Yeah.
I wanted to explore that a little bit. What if you were to? I'm going to put her on the spot here, folks. So if you were to try to make a definition of what is a good story, what's an effective, compelling story for business, what would you say? And I can help out if you decide you want to toss it back.
What makes a good story? Is that the question?
Yeah. What would be the attributes of a good story?
Well, I think it has to be compelling and engaging.
Yeah.
It has to matter to whoever is hearing the story.
Ooh, that's good. Anything else? Let me tell you a story. This is a story I used to retell in great demo workshops rather frequently. And it came about, well, I was in a workshop. I put up a slide that talked about reasons why demos go poorly. And down near the bottom of the slide were two words, too complicated. And as I got to that bullet, a gentleman in the rear of the room sighed deeply and offered an O-S-H-I-T. And I stopped and I said, what's up? And he's the head of sales for this organization, sitting in the back of the room. He says, oh man, we just negatively converted a $250,000 annual right to use subscription down to a $5,000 per year one seat order. I said, ouch. He says, yeah, a negative conversion of $245,000. I said,
Whoa.
what? Yeah, he sighs deeply again. And he leans and he says, well, things started well. We were selling, this is a true story. We were selling visualization software, really cool stuff, I might add. And we had a discovery call with a important prospect. And the more we talked, the more we described what the capabilities could do, the more the prospect, the champion really, got more and more excited until the point where he said, this is great, this is great, this is exactly what we need, he says, the champion. I have 50 target end users for this tool. By the way, the price is $5,000 per year per seat. So that's $250,000 for that potential order. This champion's all excited. He says, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring everybody in the room. I want you to do a demo. And assuming they give us the thumbs up, the users, and they should, then we'll move forward with the purchase. Okay? So sales leader and goes back and organizes the time for a demo with the champion. Day of the demo, sales leader comes in with a seasoned pre-sales player. They had done good discovery. They start off with a crisp review of the prospect situation. They show a few key images and renderings of visualizations. And everybody in the room on the customer side is just going, this is great, this is great, this is great. Pre-sales person looks at his watch and says, oh, we've got another 40 minutes. Okay.
Oh, no.
Yes. And he says, since we have another 40 minutes, let me show you all the other wonderful things you can do with the software. And he did. He showed how you can do this, how you can do that, you can do this other thing, how you can program these things, you can build out from the API and on and on. He consumed the entire 40 minutes. At the end of it was an hour demo. At the end of the hour demo, the champion got the 50 end users and had a conversation with them, came back to the sales team and said, what we have decided to do is to take out a single license, put it on an expert's desktop, and everybody else is going to go to her to work the visualization problems. What's the moral of that story? Too complicated. Stop selling when the customer's ready to buy, and 3 or 4 other morals. That, by the way, is a story in my new book, Suspending Disbelief. But now let's pick this story apart. So Chip and Dan Heath wrote a seminal work called Made to Stick. You probably, it was 12 years ago or so. You probably saw it in airports, had an orange cover with what appeared to be duct tape across it diagonally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In that book, they identified 5 key criteria or attributes for a compelling, sticky, successful story. And my definition of a successful story is very simple. It gets retold. It gets retold. So their 5 attributes included, number 1, it's got to be, actually, let me scroll over here something. It's got to be a simple message. It's got to be clear and easy to understand. That's number 1. Number 2, it's got to be a real experience. It has to be believable and perceived by your audience as being true. And this is a true story. Number 3, it's got to have an element of surprise, an unexpected twist, an event or outcome that generates both interest and tension. Number 4, it's got to evoke emotion. The best stories are those that generate an emotional response. It could be empathy, like, oh, I've also been in this position, or shock, oh my God, that's terrible. And by the way, that's what I saw in your face. It's got to be, it could be surprise. Oh no, what happened next? It could be humorous. Well, that's really sad, but it's also very, very funny. Or it could be something that's clever, like, oh wow, that's a really elegant solution. So it's got to evoke emotion. And then number 5, it's got to be relevant. Good stories relate directly to the subject at hand. So that's, where am I here? So that's what he described, or Chip and Dan Heath, I should say, described in terms of the key elements of a successful story. And if we look at the story that I just told you, we can actually analyze it accordingly. So was it relevant?
Maybe the first part, but not the second part.
Oh, yeah, the second part because went too far. It'd be relevant for a class that was going through this kind of a training. Many of them will have said, "Oh yeah, I've done the same thing. I went too
Yep.
far. I was doing the gold demo, right? Was it a real experience? Absolutely. This was
Yeah.
a sales manager who said, like, this happened to us. Did it evoke emotion?
Yeah.
You bet
Yes,
it
it did.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Negatively.
Was it? Yeah. Was it? Yeah. Exactly. Negatively. Was it? Was it something that had an element of surprise?
um, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe the
Yeah.
surprise.
No, it definitely did. You were
Yeah.
surprised right from the very beginning when I said a negative conversion of $245,000. That's a
Got it.
hook. That's a
Yeah.
huge hook in that story. And then was it, and then was it, I forget what the last one was it relevant whatsoever? Absolutely, to this
Yeah.
team. So this story I've used for years and years, and I have heard it retold by others. So you know this successful story. And here's the amazing thing, and we could actually challenge you or challenge others. They've heard this story. You could wait a day easily and challenge yourself. I'll bet you could retell that story with about 80% accuracy because of the way we are wired for stories.
Yeah.
If you just summarized it right now, if you were to summarize it, what would you say?
I would say the SC went too far with the demo and cost the company $245K.
Right. So you just netted it out crisply. Okay.
Yeah.
So the essence of storytelling, though, is to bring all of those 5 attributes into play.
Yeah.
And one of the weaknesses of what most people do today is that they've been taught that a feature statement or an advantage statement or a benefit statement is the equivalent of a story. But it's not a story, it's just relating a series of facts. Without the element of surprise, without the emotion, it's not a story. It's just a data sheet. So how does that all resonate?
I 100% agree with you on all of that. Yeah, I'm a bottom liner, right? So I do a lot of one-liners at the end of the day. But I think to your point, being able to encapsulate that in maybe 4 or 5 sentences is huge.
Yeah. I'll tell another. Would you like another true story?
Yes, please. I would.
Let me do something here. So I'm going to do 3 levels. 3 levels, okay? This is what I often hear people saying. This was an interview I was having with a disaster recovery software company, DR stuff. And they said, our backup feature helps keep you protected from disasters. Okay, those are the facts. They're important, but uninspiring. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Okay, so that's sort of the feature, advantage, benefit statement area. The next level is to draw an analogy or use a metaphor. And they actually had a good one. They said, this capability is like having airbags in your car. You hope you never need to use them, but if you actually have an accident, you'll be glad they're present. So that's where you're connecting the capability to something that your audience already understands, okay? So that's the next level up. The third level, though, is to wrap that capability inside a story. In this case, it's a customer success story. And what we taught this company to do was to look thoughtful when they were in, I think they were in discovery, or it could have been in a demo. They said, based on what you've been telling me, let me share what happened with another customer in a very, very similar situation, what you've outlined for us. They said, she was close to completing a critical project when there was this terrific rainstorm, the roof caved in, and the server room flooded. Even worse, many of the systems shorted out as the water engulfed them. And all the storage, the routers, the switches, the servers, they were dead. And I love this part. Even the uninterruptible power supplies were killed when they were inundated. The room was an absolute disaster. And the story went on. She said, when she heard the news and saw the photos of the flooded room, she was shocked and appalled. She called the facility right away and found that the damage was even worse than the photos showed. that room was toast, to which I suggest they make it soggy toast, but let that go. She thought all was lost, but because she had just implemented our DR software, disaster recovery software, she discovered that all the files were already on the machines in the backup facility, and she was able to complete her project ahead of time and under budget. And by the way, that is another true story. So thoughts on that one?
That is significantly more compelling, for sure. And I think fits the criteria we were just talking about significantly better. Right.
And, well, it's a different context. One is the first story I use is a teaching story to wrap around the idea of the specific capabilities that somebody needs to see in the demo, not everything is in your offering, and to validate that idea of the golden demo and make it a personalized demo. This story is the second story is the kind of story that we teach people to use in a conversation with a prospect or a customer. It's a customer reference story, but done following those 5 key storytelling attributes.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And I think, Peter, with that is, a lot of what we want to talk about in our time together too is how are people addressing this gap of storytelling? Because to your point, and what we kind of talked about before we started and at the top of the show, is we're not always addressing the how gap, is what I call it. How do we get our teams to learn how to tell stories at the end of the day? So how are you seeing organizations make this leap and do it effectively?
So by applying these principles. So number one, having a rubric, having a method to analyze stories in a structured approach. That's number one. So do this, we have done demo days. For years and years, I've done demo days where I get the team together and I say, I want you guys to share your best demos with one another. And as part of that, we also began the process of sharing our best stories, which originally started out as customer success stories like this one. And after reading Dan and Chip's book, we applied this idea of those 5 attributes, and we asked the question, is this story being retold? And when the answers came back, we began to say, okay, this is a way to begin to tune up our stories. So that's one approach. You have a person tell a story, and then you do an analysis on it. Was it engaging? Was it compelling? Who are the target customers for it? Did it have an emotional hook? Was there an element of surprise? I mean, nobody's going to go watch a Marvel hero story if there's not some emotional hooks and elements of surprise, right? You're going to go, okay, well, they're going to win anyway, so who cares? Here's something to contemplate. It's a great line to keep in mind. Never tell a good story only once.
Yeah, it should be.
Part of the learning here is each of us are individual, walking and occasionally talking databases of our own experiences and what we've gathered. When you get a small team together and you encourage them to actually share stories, well, you multiply that story database, if you will, by however number of people are in the room. If you contemplate capturing some of these stories, and today there's delightful methods to do that. You can have people, read stories in a Gong or whatever your favorite tool is, and then you can use AI or just some very simple indexing methods to say, okay, this is a good story for this kind of a situation, for this type of job title, and these kinds of projects, and boom, there it is.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is, never tell a good story only once. So repeat good stories that appear to really resonate. Analyze them so you can improve them. Add an element of surprise. You can depart a little bit from reality if you want to push it gently but firmly. And then keep tuning them. Keep tuning them and keep practicing. And be aware. Listen and watch your prospects and your customers' reactions as you're telling these stories or as you're teaching people, which was the case of the first story. Does it sink in? Do they retell it? And that's a method of solving the how equation, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think who owns it in the organization? Who says we have a problem? what is the problem and what are they trying to solve at the end of the day? Is sales enablement or revenue excellence bringing this in? Is the sales leader saying we have to get our conversion numbers up? We want to take market share. We need our NPS score up. What are some of the triggers that an organization should be looking for right now to implement storytelling?
That is a really good question. I'm gonna say that you could put it on the shoulders of leadership. It certainly would sit there as one of the many elements that they should be tracking on. You could also definitely put it on the shoulders of enablement or operations, field operations, for example. However, I'm going to suggest that the best place to put it is on every single individual's shoulders, because each of us as humans are storytellers. We're wired for stories. We've been using and repeating stories since well before cuneiform and before we could write. Little kids, you have 2 children. Little kids tell stories before they can write. They will retell stories that you have told them that are compelling. So, it's really a question of how big is your organization, how are you structured. But I would say that each individual should take responsibility for saying, okay, what are the good stories that I know with respect to business? What's worked? What hasn't worked? What can I share with my peers? And then build up, groundswell and make it happen that way. I'll share that I think most heads of revenue, heads of sales and CROs, probably aren't thinking of training on storytelling very deeply. Not when you have sales process and buyer enablement processes and learning the products and on and on and on. I suspect that storytelling kind of falls towards the end of the list. It's an opportunity. Maybe it's an opportunity to differentiate. Maybe the wisest heads of sales and CROs will say, you know what? Everything else being equal, it's the story that sells.
It is. It is. Let's hope so. Peter, thank you so much for sharing actual, tangible, actionable steps for everybody and a way to think about it. If you are somebody in seat, if you are a leader, if you're an organization, I think that is worth its weight in gold. Where should people find you, Peter?
Where should they find me? Right here.
After the show, where should people find you?
Exactly. They should find me at greatdemo.com, or if you want to reach out, I'm more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation with folks. Listen to what you're interested in, what you're working on, what you're suffering from, and my direct email is pcohan, PCOHAN, at greatdemo.com. Love to have
wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And everybody, make sure you're reaching out to Peter as a public service announcement for all of us who have sat through a bad demo and or delivered one, because I've done both. Sharpen it up at the end of the day, right? You will see tremendous benefits in so many ways. With that, make it a great day, make it a great weekend, be kind to one another and be excellent, and go get them. Thank you so much.